Okay, so listen, in our study today, there's 6 chapters. Okay, we're not going to go through every last one of them. Okay, this Torah portion today was dealing with, or this week has what we call better shift. Okay, and in better shift, meaning in the beginning, we begin to understand how things came to be. How did the creator of the heavens and the earth create everything? How did he bring everything into what we would call existence? How did that happen? Okay, so here we are. Hopefully you can see my screen right here. Bereshith. Okay. We could spend a lot of time going over what each letter means, but it just means basically in the head, in the rosh of things, in the summit, at the top of things. How did this all begin to be? And it's chapters number 1 all the way to chapter number 6, verse number 8. It's pretty long. Okay. Well, what I want to do is I want to just give a brief summary of what each one of those days, because there's 7 days, including today, that give us an understanding of what happened and why is this important for Israel. Okay. So if we look carefully at it, and of course, in the Greek, they call it Genesis, meaning they say that that's their beginning, right? In the beginning, but it's really the head of things, out all the top of things. So we know that it took 6 days to make everything. The first day was light. The second day was what they call the firmament of the rakia, which is the skies and the heavens. The third day had to do with a separation of the waters from the waters, like the heavens had to be separated. The waters had to be separated from, so the dry land can be revealed. The fourth day was dealing with the great lights that are in the skies, in the heavens, the Shamayim, which is the Shemesh and the Yoreach and the stars, the Kokovim, okay? They call, none of these names, by the way, for sun, moon, and stars were actually mentioned. Yah says that he made 2 great lights, right? One was called the Godola, the greater light, which is the sun. The second one is the Yoreach, which is the moon. And then, of course, the Kokovim and the stars, okay? We understand that the sun, the moon, and the stars represent signs and therefore appointed times and seasons on when things are supposed to be done, when food is supposed to grow, when you're supposed to do your harvest, times in which you know, hey, this is a time, an appointed time to meet with the creator of the heavens and the earth, okay? Also, too, he's given the sun and the moon and the stars, according to Deuteronomy chapter number 32, to all creation, okay? So it's available for everyone. The 5th day, of course, is the fish and the birds, okay, in which he made. Yahweh had made everything. He's the master of the universe. You know, he fills the earth with the life, and he fills it with his spirit. All this began with his spirit, okay? So everything was in darkness and everything was in chaos. Everything was chaotic before he created this world in which you and I live. Is called the Haaretz, the earth, okay? The heavens themselves were chaotic. There was no light in them for this part of his creation, this part of the universe. Yah is the king over everything. He's the king of the universes. He's the king of this planet. He is the king of everything. Yah is the owner of the breath that you and I breathe. He's the owner of everything, whether it's good or whether or not it's evil, because he created both good and evil. He created it for his purposes and for his righteousness and for his purpose. He's made that which is clean and unclean. right? So we want to get an idea where Genesis chapter number 1 is giving us a framework of the great power and the majesty that is supposed to be ascribed to the one who's responsible for all life. If we don't understand this and we go through life and we have other people telling us what he is and what he is not, and what did he do and what he didn't do, they're starting to shape and form our opinion on who he is. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. Yah wants us to know him for ourselves, okay? That's what he wants. He wants us to know him for ourselves. Let me close this window. I'm hearing a lot of people breaking and profaning the Shabbat today. Cut lawns. I used to be one of them. All right. And so back on the subject matter, Yah now decides to create this 6th day. And on the 6th day, he creates all the creatures on the land, which includes humanity. You know, a lot of people ask when he said, let us make man in our image, what does that mean? From a Christian perspective, it meant that he spoke to Yeshua, some other God, and said, hey, you know, let us, me and you, like someone's beside him, let's make man in our image. Some people actually say that he was talking to the angels, you know, hey, let us, like he did that with them. Like he's looking for their approval or their assistance to say, like, let's make them like become like one of us. Okay. So we see a contradiction in this because in verse number 24, he begins to tell us who he's talking to, you know, and Elohim, I'll just read it right quick. And he said, in Elohim, and said he, Elohim, let bring forth the earth, the haaretz, and the nefesh adakaya, and after is lamina, meaning let the earth, and he's talking to the earth. He's talking to the earth, and he's having a conversation. Because if you notice right here, above verse number 24, we have this, what they call a punctuation, but in the Hebrew scrolls, that means that this was the end of that teaching. That's the end of that point. I'm not talking about the 5th day anymore. I'm not trying to include the 5th day with the 6th day. It is not a continuation. Okay. That means that now that I'm done with this, this is ended. Now this is the beginning. This is another beginning of a teaching. Okay. So this deals with the 6th day. And on the 6th day, I'm talking to the earth, and I'm asking the earth to do what I'm asking it to do. If you notice, he's speaking. He's speaking. That's why he said, and he said to the earth, bring forth the earth. Okay. And let it bring forth what? After its kind, the livestock, the behemoth, the rames, and the wakayo. Okay. And its beasts from the earth according to its kind. Okay. I've talked about the different kinds that we have. There's an assortment, and there's too many to number. All of us, we are not aware of what these different kinds are. There's so many different kinds of plants. There's so many different kinds of animals. There's so many different kinds of fish. There's different species, okay? So when we're talking about the kinds, we're literally talking about a species, okay? There's all sorts. Okay, there's literally, if you were to say, well, I'm going to study about plants, and you just pick one plant and one family of plants, it would take you a lifetime to fully understand how it's made and where's it come from. Okay, so it's unlimited, all right? So Yah brings all these different things to the earth to what? To fill the earth. That's why he talks about bara. Bara doesn't mean literally in a sense of creation. Okay, it means that Yah took something and said, let me fill the earth and let me fill the heavens. Okay, so he brought something that was chaotic to a place of acceptance and said, now that you can respond, I have to introduce light. Okay, so light's the first thing that Yah has introduced into a chaotic world. That light was not a sun. It was not a something to cause one to be able to see something that is in darkness, because Yah separated the darkness from the light, and there was no sun on the first day. Okay, So the light in which Yah is talking about is a different type of light. And the light of what he's talking about for your understanding and mine would be that Yah introduced instructions, and he introduced the Torah into this world. Everything has a Torah, okay? So when we talk about when Yah gives us a Torah, we's like, okay, we understand the Torah as being what Moshe told us, right? And they're called instructions, all right? So when we have these instructions, we're like, okay, we received it, so it tells us how we should live. And the instructions that we receive is for Yisrael. Okay. Did Yah give instructions to anything else? Yes, he did. He told the different types of kinds of species on what they were supposed to do. Their instructions are called, instead of them calling them instructions for them, they have a Torah which is called instinct. They know exactly what to do, how to do it, and they do it every time with precision. So where did they get the information from? Oh, that's right. It was built into them. Okay. So they don't necessarily, what they would call, have a choice to decide, if I want to be a lion, then I don't want to be a lion anymore. I want to be a polar bear this week. Or I am a lion, but I don't want to be that kind of cat anymore. I want to be, hey, could you close that window for me, Michaela? Thank you. I don't want to be that kind of animal species anymore. I want to flip it, and I want to be different now. You see? So that's a problem. Okay. It's like I always tell people, you can't send a duck to eagle school. A duck is a duck and an eagle is an eagle. Okay. Why am I saying that? Because you can't turn, Israel is trying to be a duck. Okay. Israel's trying to be a duck. They're trying to change who they are. They're trying to change their species. They don't want to be Israel. They don't want to be close to the Holy One of Israel. They don't. They want to be like the nations. And this has been our problem from day number one. Yes, Kel. Go ahead, Kel.
I'm sorry, I forgot to unmute.
Oh, no. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, my question was, when I'm reading chapter 1, on day 5 and day 6, when he's creating, everything in the waters and everything on the land. It seems to me that everything here is like he's creating multiplicity of things, not just like one or two. So he's filling the earth and the waters with all the animals.
Yes.
So on day 6, when he's talking about him creating, the human, the man, it seems like he's creating multiples of this. So the idea that we talked about before, where there was people, like he was filling the whole earth with people. So I just wanted to get more clarity, because it's still not really clear to me if there were a big population of people before he went to chapter 2 and he said he created Adam and Eve, or if he, I think you said before, chapter 1 might be just talking about him creating the laws of the universe and how things are supposed to be.
Yeah, that's a great point. So chapter 1, that's a great question. Thank you for that. The understanding is that chapter 1 is giving us like a summary of everything that he's done. Okay. Because here in this verse, it talks about him making the, or previously, it talked to, even this one, he said that he made them, he said these things. Okay. So it's always talking about what he said. And then there's also if you look in verse number 24, it said he said, right? Let me show you right quick. Verse 24, it says, and he said, right? And he said. Verse 25 says, and he made. Okay. So is he speaking these things only like we would think, like he just said it and it happened? Is he taking action on what he said? He's saying something, he's thinking something, he's saying it, because Yah's, when I say mind, I want you to understand Yah is perfect thought. So when he says these things, his own purpose is to go ahead and make it happen. Okay. So he made the kayath. That's what it said. That why Ya'as means to do and to make. So it's one thing to say something, but it's another thing to do it. So And is Yah like using hands? No, he's not. You know, it's unfathomable. We cannot truly comprehend and understand who this creator is. It just, we won't. That's what he says. I forgot what the scripture is, but he says, Yah is incomprehensible. You can never comprehend him. We can never comprehend him. So what we go off is the information that he's given to us. So chapter number 1 is a summary of everything that he did, okay, for those 6 days. He just given us an insight of like, this is what I did. On this day, I did this. On this day, I did this. And on this one, I did that. So he goes through everything he's done, right? And if we read, he said he made everything after its kind. And verse number 26, and then he says it was good. And then verse 26, he says, let us. And that right there, and that us right there is represented by this noon right here, which is us, plural, okay? And he's saying, hey, look, let us. Who is he talking to? He was talking to the earth, because the image of man, which that's what our lesson is going to be on today, is not only of the flesh, but it's of Yah, it's of his likeness. He says, let's make it in our image and let's make it in our likeness. Well, we know that the creator is not made of dust. He's not made of that. So who's he talking to? Well, you got to look at the components of man. What is he made of? What's the properties? Well, we're made of dust. Yah knows that we're made of dust. So when he talks about making in his image, he's literally saying that I want you to understand that what I'm looking for you to have is my character. That's what I want you to have. When I'm talking about making my character, so I'm going to give you my character, right? You need to have my character. Why is this pen doing this? You should have my character. And then I'm also going to give you your flesh, which is your body. I'm going to take the dust of the earth and I'm going to make flesh out of it. I got to give you a framework. I got to give you a body. I got to give you a resting place. But the part of us that's like Yah is the character of Yah, the attributes of Yah, okay? The attributes of Yah and the character of Yah is it's amazing, okay? What he's saying is when I make you and I give you my image and I give you my likeness, I found a way to represent. I'm looking for the right word. I don't want to speak in terms of like a religious way. Okay. When I made you, right? When I formed you, when I fashioned you, I wanted you to look a certain way. Okay. I wanted you to have certain body parts. You know, I gave everyone eyes, they got ears, they can listen and can do all these different types of things, but they're all based on instinct. And instinct does not have what you call freedom. They don't have freedom. They didn't get a choice. Okay. What I gave you is choice. Just like I have a choice and I can choose whoever I want, like I chose Israel, you have a choice. You could choose. Okay. Just like I could do that which is good and I can do that which is evil. So could you. Right. Just like I can fill things and remove things and put things in different places. So can you. Just like I have dominion over certain things, I want to give that dominion to you, okay? That is found in the fact that I want you to not only to have my character and my attributes and the freedom, but I also want you to rule. And that's what you can see in verse number 26. I want them to rule. It's interesting that he calls Adam an individual, and it's a man right here, singular, right? One. Then he turns around and says, I want them. Two. So what does he do? He's doing something that he's always done. He's taken the one and created in two. You understand? He split the man into two parts. And the two parts that he split the man into is what? Somebody tell me.
Is it male and female?
Yes, it is. Yes. I want them to rule over the fish and the birds of the air and the livestock all over all the earth and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. That's what I want them to do. You see? That's the goal, for them to rule, because I rule, right? And I want them to rule that which is on the earth. I want them to rule on the earth for me, okay? That's why I want them to have my image, to give them the authority to do so. So I got to create them in an image that's worthy of me. So when I make them, Elohim created what? He created, he filled, meaning he brought forth Elohim, what? The Ha'adam. And he said that the Ha'adam is in his own image, his B'Tselmo. The image of the B'Tselmo, which is the B'Tselem, is Elohim. He created Bara Otho, him. So you see a third person masculine singular again, right here. Him. He made him into what? Next word. He made him to Zakar. Okay. And he made him into Nekeva. That's what he's done. Now, this is going to get a little uncomfortable. And he created them. So you can see again from the instructions that we have here in the Hebrew language, the Yah created him. Oh boy. Forgive me, the tool that I'm using, this little pen electronically, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. He made him into them. So what Yah did was he divided. Okay, this species. Okay, did he just do it sexually with the different types of, like we would like to think, oh well, woman, she has different body parts, you know, men has his parts, she has her parts, or did he do it within something else? What is the difference? What's the difference between us besides that? There's a lot of differences, and those are the differences that we're going to talk about today. I want to give a warning to the class. What I'm about to tell you today is to help us all understand the importance of humanity. And I don't want you to take anything I say the wrong way. I just got to give this warning out. I don't want you to take it the wrong way, okay? And more specifically, I don't want the Nekeva, because that's how you say female. I don't want the Nekeva or the Nekevoth. I don't want the females to take this, what I'm about to tell you, the wrong way. So I want you to put on your seatbelt, and I want you to understand that I'm just warning you, what I'm about to tell you can be uncomfortable. And I'm saying it, but it's also too going to be very liberating. It's going to help all of us. Because when I talk about the Nekeva and I talk about the Zakar, I mean, you will hear more about the Nekeva today than you are going to hear about the Zakar. And there's a reason for that, okay? The Nekeva is not, and she's not more important than the Zakar, but she's very important. They're equal, okay? They share humanity together, but there is something about her that is very, very beautiful. And there's something very, very troubling about her that needs to be discussed, okay? But when you talk about them, and even when I'm talking about her, the female, the Nekeva, I'm literally talking about him as well, because they're one. They're a Akkad. They're one. They're not, it's not just her and him. So I don't want the hers today to think that I'm getting on you, but I'm not getting on him. If I'm talking about you, I'm talking about him. I'm talking about us. That's what I wanted to make sure that everyone understands. So men, if you hear me talking and you say, dang, he's being really hard on these women. He's saying some stuff that's tough. I'm not talking to her. I'm talking to us, all of us. There is no humanity without a female. There is no humanity without a Zakar. There is none. That's what we need to understand. If we can get this relationship right, if we can understand this, because this is the reason why it was mentioned, because this is the Rosh, this is the head of things. Yah tells us the end at the beginning. Rosh means to begin, the head, the top, the summit, the peak, the highest part on the mountain, right here. Okay. Yah had used Moshe to write this information to tell us about this and about this relationship, which is called marriage. He's mentioning marriage to us because this is the whole reason why we have Yah's image. Marriage is the reason why we all hold his image. A man by himself is not a man at all. And a woman by herself is not, we're not full, we're not complete. You're disconnected. That's why you need the male and the female. That's why we can't go around and try to change our genders like we have today. Saying, I don't want to be a lion anymore. I want to be a hyena. No, that's not the way Yah's made things. So let's get into it. So he made humanity both male and female. It's not just the males. Okay. That's what he says. And we're going to look at the Hebrew and everything because the English lies. I think it was on Thursday that I told you that man and woman go, and I said something about their spirits being one and the same. And I looked it up in the book of Malachi, and I was looking for the word and I couldn't find it because it was like, where is it? I knew it was here, but I was like looking at it, right? And I'm looking, it says, and hasn't he made in verse 15, one flesh in order to have a spiritual blood relatives? Well, this is the way that they put it out, spiritual blood relatives. So for us, we're like, that's spiritual. That's spiritual. That's something, when you talk spiritual things, that's hard to define and quantify, right? So we want to quantify and we want to qualify what's being said. So the only way that a person can do that, okay, is by going to the Hebrew language. I told you on Thursday that a man and a woman share the same spirit. And because Yah split the man, humanity is split into two. We've already seen that. Well, let's see what he says so we can wrap our minds around the idea of being divided, okay? The division is just like he divided the skies and the heavens, and he divided the waters from the lands, just like he divided the light from the darkness. Now he's dividing and he divided all the animals in their different species from other kinds. He divided the plants in different ones that can be in certain areas. He divided the big fish from the little fish. He's made a whole bunch of divisions. So even within our humanity, we have this gaping hole, this division that's among us as a people, as a species, okay? So the same chapter number 2, verse 15, says something very interesting. In context, Yah's getting on the tribe of Judah and Jerusalem because they decided to marry women of foreign gods. And he said, you guys have been unfaithful and you've been getting rid of your wife to go marry another woman who's not even part of you. So he had some contention with them, okay? So then he begins to reprove them and to rebuke them for their actions. But this is what he said. I want to show you the difference. Verse 15 says, but not one. And remember, I told you the word one is what? Akkad. Remember, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Akkad. Yahweh is one, right? What's going on with this thing? This pen is tripping. What is going on? All right, let's try it again. That wasn't me. That was a computer. Okay. So akkad. All right. It's akkad. You guys are, he says, and not is akkad one, meaning unified, that he made asa. And ushar, of the same spirit. That word sha'ar there, folks, is the word that I want to show you. Then when Yah says, didn't I make them one? He's talking about a wife. And didn't I give her a spirit of a residual spirit, a remnant of the spirit? I gave her that. Did he not make them one? And having a remnant of the spirit to him. So what is he talking about? I'm going to explain it to you. When Yah made man, he took what they call a sha'ar. He's giving us a little bit more information. He gave a sha'ar. He took a remnant. Remember, he breathed into Adam. He breathed into Adam. And then after he breathed into Adam, there was some left. There was a remnant. There was a residue of what they would call the spirit, the ruach. There's a residue of spirit, which is breath in Hebrew. When he breathed into man, man became a living soul. And so when Yah said, well, didn't I make them one? See? So what was ever left over, a remnant or residue of what he gave of the breath to man, what was left of the man, he put into the woman. She's not a separate spirit. You understand? So when Yah talks about something being a akkad, he's literally saying that you're one. You're unified. Okay. And there's unity. How's this thing going? There's unity. So there has to be, if there's unity in terms of thought, there has to be one of breath. Because your breath is your character. It's your name. That's what breath is for, right? The breath of you is who you are. And that's what they call a name, okay, which you call in Hebrew case shame. Shame is name. That's what shame means. Shame is name. Shame is character, okay? That's what it means. The breath of you is who you are. That's why when they turn around and they name someone something, okay, like for example, what's the name of, they call her Eve, but her name is not Eve. Her name is Kawa. That's her real name. Her name is not Eve. Her name is Kawa, and I'll show it to you. And she's called the mother of all living. So that's her character. Okay, that's the character. When Adam, humanity, gave the names to all the creation, he named them. What did he name them? He named them according to their character, according to the breath that was inside of them. Okay. So when he made man, he left a little bit of what was left over for man, a remnant. Just like when you do a job, when you go and when I was in flooring, we'd have, doing carpet or linoleum or hardwood, there's always some material that's left over. And whatever was left over, we could use in the bathroom, or we could use to make a countertop, or we could use. So when Yah gave out this spirit of humanity, he wasn't making an additional humanity. He was using the same spirit, which is the male and the female. And he split it and said, okay, I've already formed the male. Now I got something left over. So I'm going to use what's left over to give to her. So humanity is supposed to be, see, that which remains, that was left over. You see? That which is left over, that which remains left over. So what does this literally mean? It means that if you're married and you're with someone, okay, that other person is you. They're you and you're them. You're not separate. They're you and you're them. So it's not a I and you anymore. It's always going to be in us, because she received a remnant, a residue of the Spirit. See, to him, he says, but not one did he make them, and having a spirit to him. And why? Question is, why are you going out and, let me see this. Why are you, he says, oh, this is going crazy. The computer's not behaving. We're in 15. Let me slow it down. Context. And yet you say, why? What? Because that Yahweh has witnessed between you and the wife of your youth, and whom you have dealt treacherously against, and yet she's your companion and your wife by covenant. And not one did he make? That's what he's saying. Did he not make you one? And having a remnant of the Spirit to him, he took the residue of the Ruach of the Spirit that he gave to man and gave it to her. He says, and why? And Umah, why? Why one? So he's asking, why did Yah take the Spirit and divide it and make one male and one female? And why did he give her the remnant of it? He's saying, and why did he make one? What's the purpose of Umah right here? Umah, why? That's the question. He's inquiring. Why did he make them one? Why did he make them Ha'akad? He made them because Yahweh is seeking an offspring of Elohim. Okay, and therefore take heed to your spirit. Talking about plural, because Kim here is your spirits, because they were going what? With your wife of your youth, because what they were doing to their wives is they were getting rid of them and they were shaking them. And what Yah is saying in the same context here is that I hate divorce. I hate divorce. I hate it. Okay. Look what he says. Verse 16. For what? Saneh Shalak. I hate sending away. I hate divorce. I hate it. Why do I hate it? Because the seed of Elohim has been divided. That means that when I give someone to you, you're supposed to take that person, and because they're the other half of you. And if you take that person, you disregard them and you throw them away. I hate that, because that's not the intention of why I created male and female. I didn't create male and female to be divided. I created them to be united because they represent my image. Does everyone understand that? There's a lot of us who have marital problems, who have been married, who have had divorce, there's a lot of us who are thinking about getting married. So this applies to everybody, whether you're married or you're not married, or you're going to get married, or you're dating, or you're in a relationship. It's the same identical thing. You have to understand that that other person is nothing but a residual or the original breath, or they're the residue of that which Yah has given. Because unification of a male and a female is the only way that you and I can properly demonstrate and bring glory to Yah, for lack of a better way of saying it. When he talks about his image, he's talking about a male and a female. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about how they work together. Okay? That's what he's talking about. When Yah talked to Israel, or should I say, when he gave the commandments to Israel and the covenant he made with Israel, it was based on a relationship between marriage. It was like, I'm going to be your husband, you're going to be my wife. We're going to be united. That's why he says, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Shema means to listen, Israel. The Yahweh is one, Yahweh is Echad. He's telling us that if we're going to be with him, we have to be unified. When Yah set the man in place and try to find him a helpmeet, a helper, he sent him out into his creation to find someone. And the man was not able to find anybody. No one. He was not able to find anybody. Guess what Yah says? Yah says in verse number 18, and while you're met Yahweh Elohim, the lo tov, meaning it's not good, it's not functional that a man shall exist, the ha'adam, to be lavado. Okay? But I will make, I will make to him or for him a helper. Someone who is what? A helper who is what they call a conegdo, right here. Conegdo. And what is conegdo? I'm going to tell you. They got this word suitable. And that's a problem because that is an English translation. They don't really fully understand from our perspective what the creator is really saying. They're saying it. So when you think about getting married, you'd be like, okay, well, who would be suitable for me? Right? Like what's the best choice that I have? That's not what the creator's talking about. Okay. Let me pull it up right quick. Conegdo has to do with, let me pull it up in this here. It is 2372. Is it? All right, here we go. Now we're going to get down to it. All right, so that word conegdo means to tell. That's the action. This is the action of that word, suitable, to tell. Right here, conegdo. There's the noon, there's the gimel and the dalet, right? Neged or nagad. What's the action of it? It means to tell. Okay. She's supposed to tell you something. Okay. So he's looking for someone to talk to him. A helper is someone who's supposed to tell you something. Okay. A helper is supposed to be the one to show you something. It's supposed to be the one who is supposed to stand in front of you in your presence. Okay. That's what a helper is. That's what the conegdo is to make something known. So when he made Kua, the purpose of her is to be a helper to the other side of Adam, meaning the male part. You can't have a male without a female. It won't work. You understand? That's why homosexuality doesn't work, because they're not telling each other what they're supposed to be telling each other. The responsibility of the female was and is to tell the man what he's supposed to do. Listen to me carefully. I told you earlier, I start this off with a warning that I'm going to tell you something that you probably never heard before. That word tells you that the person who's supposed to be the one who tells orders, the woman was the nobility of man. She is the nobility of the man. She was the one who was supposed to stand in the presence of the man and tell him the truth. She is the one who's supposed to ennoble him. She's the one who's supposed to have him to make good decisions. She is the part of humanity that was supposed to bring honor and dignity and elevate the man to a whole, the humanity to a whole nother level. She was the one who's supposed to bring joy to the man. She's the one who's supposed to make man impressive. She's the one who's supposed to brought creativity to humanity. She is called the counselor of the man. That's the reason why she was made. She's the crowning jewel of humanity. She is the one who's supposed to raise man to a higher level of consciousness. Oh, you better hear me, Nakia. I hope you're listening, Nakeva. I hope you understand that your responsibility was to be demonstrative of the beauty in the elegance, in the excellence of El Shaddai. That's because if you look at the word El Shaddai, it's El, the power of the breast. Shaddai, my breast. Yah is our breast. He's our one who takes care of us. He's the one that we run to. He's the one that supplies our needs. He's the one who gives us sustenance. Nakeva is closer to Yah than the man. She was sent and made and formed and fashioned to empower humanity. Because when I say man, I'm not talking about some man. I'm talking about both Zakar and Nakeva. She was the one who's supposed to give us the idea of faithfulness, fidelity, that which is honorable. She's the one who is supposed to bring encouragement to humanity to always do the right thing. She's the one who's supposed to have the attributes of kindness, maternal instincts, to teach, to be a teacher, to be an educator of that which is right and that which is good and that which is holy. She's the essence of everything that God wanted humanity as a whole to be. She is also supposed to be the one who's supposed to operate in a mindset, in a state of awareness at all times. She's supposed to be watchful. You ask yourself, well, what's the responsibility of the man? Because you're saying everything that you're saying. But I got to remind you that Yah said it's not good that Adam would be lavado. It's not good for him to be by himself. He needs someone, a helper. The only help the man has ever had has been from Yah. And Yah has created a woman and took the residual and the remnant of the spirit that he made man, and he took the part of man and he put that into that woman. As a result of her lack of doing what she was supposed to do and what she was made for and why she was brought here, there's been a heavy cost. There's been a toll on humanity because of the failure of humanity. When I talk about the Nakeva, remember, I'm telling you that she is humanity along with her Zakar counterpart. But her role and responsibility was of great significance. Great significance. Adam named all the animals, but Nakeva is the one who names all the sons and the children, by the way. We see that with Leah. We saw that with Raquel. We saw that with Sarah. We saw that with the women who were having these sons. They named their sons. We saw that with Kuah. She named Seth. She named Cain. She named Havel. Adam didn't name these men. Because she has some insight. You understand? There's a result there is a consequence. There is what we would call a severe loss. Since humanity has failed, we have been degraded, we have been diminished, we have been humiliated, we've been downgraded, we've been lowered as a result of us not living up to what Yah called us to do. We've been reduced and we've been disgraceful. And because of that, there's consequences for those actions. There's always an outcome that we don't want to talk about. When the Holy One of Israel put the man in the garden, he sent him there and placed him there to rest. That's why he put him there. To rest. It was a place of rest. Rest doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have to do any work. Rest basically means, let me clear this out, a place free of trouble. The garden was outside of the land. It was somewhere special. It was somewhere where they had intimacy with the Holy One of Israel. They had intimacy with him. They knew when he was around, they had a relationship with him. And that relationship turned around and was what? Was destroyed because someone came along and told humanity something different than what Yah said. I want to focus now that I've told you about the importance of this great Nekeva. Sisters, you should not feel bad about what I'm saying. You should understand the importance of why you're here. Everything about humanity is hinged on your ability to be nobility. You are the crowning jewel of Yah's creation. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Not that man doesn't have the Zakar doesn't have responsibility. He has responsibilities, but Yah knows that it's not good. It's not functional, that he's by himself because he does not have the ability to help himself. I said it. A lot of men are not going to like it. As much as I would like to think that I don't need my wife, I would be a fool. The Nekeva is the highlight of this life. The Nekeva is the highlight of all the glory and the esteem of the Holy One of Israel. There won't be any image of Yah that's functioning correctly if there's no Nekeva. I don't care how many men you make. I don't care how strong they are. I don't care how tall they are. I don't care how fast they can run. They're nothing without a Nekeva. That's why Yah had put a punishment on you guys on that side of us that is pretty extreme. I don't want to read what happened in the garden in English. And the reason being is because it's not telling you the truth. Okay. I'm going to read from right to left. I'm going to tell you that it says the serpent's deception. A lot of people think this is Hashatan, and it's not Hashatan. The first word you have right here is called Hanakash. Hanakash is a beast. It's a Nakash, and it's a serpent, which is a beast. Okay. How do I know that it's beast? Because he says he existed more cunning from all the beast, the Kaya. It's a beast. It's not a spiritual entity. It is literally a beast, an animal, a wild animal, a Kaya. Okay. So this Kaya came, and what does Nakash mean? Nakash has its roots in the idea of what we would call divination. Divination. That is what they would call a diviner. That is someone who can tell you something that you don't know. This is the serpent that was on an image of a pole that the children of Israel got, bit by on their ankles and their heels. The Nakash is one of divination. They say in English, which I should show it to you to verify about why you need to understand about this language, because in English, it says something which can throw you completely off. Let me show you what it says. It says in Genesis chapter number 3, it says this. Now the serpent was more crafty than any wild animal which Yahweh Elohim had made. He said to the woman, and I need you to listen to this. What did he say to the woman? He said, what did he say to Nekeva? What did he say to her? What did he say to Isha? Okay. Did Elohim really say? And here he puts it. He tells what Yahweh said. You are not to eat from any tree in the garden, ? That's what this English says. And the woman answered the serpent, and she tells him what she said. We may eat from the trees, the fruit of the trees of the garden. But about the tree, or about the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden, Elohim said, you are neither to eat it or eat from it, nor touch it, or you will die. That's what she said. Okay. Everyone following me? And you got to get your thinking cap on now. I really want you to think about what I'm about to show you. So that's the question. Did Elohim really say? Okay. Well, let's look at it in Hebrew. We already told you that the serpent is the diviner. That's what his name means. And this is what it says. Remember, he's cunning. He's the most cunning. Okay. It says, Wayomer, and the Wa-ya-mer here, just to let you know, and he, and is the Wa, the he here is the Yod, and Amar here is said. It's perfect. Okay. They got it as imperfect, but it's not. It's called a rule called the reversing Wa, which means it is perfect. He said this. He said to the woman. Okay. This is what he said to the woman. Af ki Amar. Okay. So you ask yourself, where is, and if anyone understands the grammar, and you would understand this, is that this doesn't include any interrogative phrases. There's no phrase here. When I talk about an interrogative phrase, I'm saying when you interrogate someone, you'd ask them, did Yah say, or what, where, who, how, why? Those are all interrogatives. They're always asking questions. That's what a question is to interrogate. Because it's something that's unknown. right? So anytime you ask a question, it's because you don't know something, right? So right? So they're telling us in English that he asked a question. In the Hebrew, it would show you if it was a question, it would be what they call an interrogative. Intero. That's what you would see, the word intero. But we don't see any intero. We just see a conjugation. We see another conjugation. We see a call verb stem. We see a noun. We see an adjective, which is a negative particle. We don't see any interrogative. So that raises a question. Why did they turn it from, why did they ask a question? He didn't ask a question. There's no question that he's asking her. So if he's not asking a question, what's being said? Because see, they put a question mark on the end. There's no interrogative. There's no interrogative whatsoever. Okay. But let me show you. We just read an interrogative in the book of Malachi, like we asked why, why? In Hebrew, just to let you know, there are no punctuation marks like this. In Hebrew, if you were to ask a question, it's going to be a word like ma, meaning what, or me, meaning who, okay? Or some other words. So punctuations and questions are not represented by marks. They're represented by Hebrew words. And ma basically means, what is it? Like mana, what is it? Okay, me, who is it? Who is it? Okay, who, what? So we don't see any of these words here. And you might ask yourself, well, why is that important to know? What's the difference between someone asking a question and someone making a statement? Yah wants to give us the insight about what a diviner does. A diviner, and anyone who's involved in divination, in order for them to divine to you to seem like they know what they're talking about, what they do is they get you to tell them something. And then once you give them the information, then they run with it. Okay. So what they have a little bit of information, but they want to get more information to trick you, to make you think that they know what they're talking about. Okay. So he said to the woman, he didn't ask the woman a question. He wayomer to the ha'isha, the woman, off. Okay. So the question is, what does off mean? Well, off right here doesn't mean a question. It's a conjunction, right? He says this. Off means also. That's what it means. Also, or yeah. Hey, yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to put it together for us to understand. We can translate this properly. He said, and look, he said, this is what he said. Oh yeah. All he said was, yeah, indeed. He said Elohim. Yeah, he said it. Yeah, he said Elohim. Not to Tokolu. You here is plural people talking to both of them. That's what he said to them. He's talking not to her, because remember, Nekeva, the Isha, is not just the woman. Okay? Because the Kim here, the U here is them. And the plural is plural. It's you. You guys. It's not you guys. So let's translate it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Indeed, he has said, Elohim has said, not shall you guys eat from all the trees. So when Yah gave the command, the Zawa, okay, the Zah, when he gave the command to the man, to Adam, the beast was there and heard the command. That's where it had its information. Okay. He says that you guys, oh yeah, Yah says you guys can't eat. That's all he said. He didn't ask her, did he say? He didn't say that. He made a statement. So what is Yah telling us? He's telling us that a diviner, which is an Akash, a diviner says statements and they get you to tell them the answer. And then whatever answer you tell them, then that's what they use against you, because they don't want it to make it seem like they're the one who tricked you. They want you to trick yourself. They'll trick you by saying something to you that you've already said. They're repeating to you what's already been said. Now listen to this. So he says a statement. That's all he did. And guess what she said? And look, and she said, because that's what Watomer is, Haisha, the woman, right? She said, the Nekeva, the femininity of the Akkad, she's a representative of humanity. Remember, because she's the what? She's the counselor. She's the nobility. She's the noble one, and she's the one who's supposed to tell. She's supposed to tell what's going on. She's supposed to make it clear. She's supposed to interpret. She's the interpreter. That's why he went and he spoke to that part of humanity, because he knew what she was going to do. She was a counselor. And the reason for this is because Adam did not find anyone among creation to reflect who he is. That's why he says she's bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. But she's not only bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, she's actually of me. She's my spirit too. That it was a residual. That's why Yah set her before him and put her directly in front of his face. Whenever we have a problem with one another as a male or female, all you got to do is understand, when you're looking at that other side of you, that mirror, your wife is supposed to be a mirror to you, and your husband is a mirror to you, to let you know where you are with the Holy One of Israel. If there's any contention between the husband and the wife, it's simply because the glory of Yah is not being esteemed. And that's profanation against the Holy One's image. We talk about, things that we do to our bodies, which is right about tattoos and eating habits and so forth and so on. The deeper level of disrespect and disregard for the image of the Holy One of Israel is when there's fights going among the husband and the wives, the male and the female. Not only the husband and the wife, but any disrespect from a male to a female or a female to a male is disregard for the image of the Holy One of Israel. The Holy One of Israel is reflected in the male and the female in humanity. Anytime anything is being done against any side of the glory in the image of the Baal Salamim of Yahweh is profanation. Anytime anything is done to a widow or a fatherless, it is a profanation and a direct assault against the image of Yahweh. These are the things that we're not taught. Anytime the poor is asking us for something and we refuse to give it anything, we're denying the glory in the image of the Holy One. This diviner she's talking to, which is Nakash, she says the fruit from the trees of the Hagan, of the garden, she's a representative of we, male and female. We can eat it. We can eat it. So it seems at this point that she's 100%. Now, where does she get the information from? Well, how does she know? She was created secondly. No. She wasn't manifest until secondly. She's always been created. The mindset of the one mind, Akkad. The Akkad of the man and the woman is Akkad. That's what makes us Akkad, is the mindset. We have to work together. We're supposed to complement one another. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to contribute to one another. The reason why Yah has given us marriage in the first place is to teach us about how to be unified and how to be faithful, because that's what his desire is for Israel. And you and I can never be unified if our mindsets are different. So what she did is she understood that the commandment is that you can eat. Now, was this physical? Absolutely. You can eat. Yah told Adam, humanity, that you can eat as anything you want, but just don't touch this. Yah uses what we call our stomach, as I've been saying, to test us. to find out whether or not you're going to keep the commandment. He's done it in in Exodus chapter number 16. Write that down. Go read it today. He's also done it in Deuteronomy chapter number 8. Go read that today and find out how he tests us. Go read, and you'll find how Yah tests Israel all the time. And he tests Israel with food. We don't do what he says, he cuts the food supply off. He tests us to see what it is. He'll decrease the supply of food so to test us, to find out whether or not you're going to do what I say. Because man lives by food. And the food is given by the mouth of Elohim, because Yah will speak it when he commands to the rain and says, bring forth food. Man is not only this spiritual being, but he's a physical being. The spiritual being of us is the character of the Holy One of Israel. Yah has to feed the physical for it to survive. And the moment that we understand that that's the kind of species we are, and that's the way that we're supposed to operate, he gives us a choice. You can either do what I tell you. I do know how to spell choice. You can do what I say and live, or you can do what I not say, and then you're going to die. But the only way that you can ever become what I want you to become, and the only way that you and I will ever be together and ever be unified, is when you decide that you want to be a Akkad. When you're unified in mindset with me, then me and you are Akkad. I gave you marriage to teach you what I'm looking for between me and you. That's my gift to you. I want you to know how I feel about you. I want you to know that I love you. I want you to know that I'm here to take care of you. I want you to know that I'm here to rule you. Because my rulership is not a bad rulership. My rulership for you is to make sure you get the best life possible. When I told man that he will die, surely die, you will die, I was emphasizing the fact that man was going to die anyway. Death is part of life. It's a big part of life. There has not been a story, except for we have a couple of different occasions where we find that Yah took certain people, but a majority of humanity dies. Just like everything else. All the animals die. All the plants die. And even the star dies. The stars die. Everything has a process. The quicker that you and I accept this, the better off we're going to be. Okay? Is that Yah is looking for us to be unified in our thinking, to be with him, like a marriage. But the fruit that's in the middle of the garden, he said that you shall not eat it. The tree, the fruit of the tree, which is in the middle of the garden, he said, Elohim lo tokalu. Right? Now look what she does. Mimenu. Mimenu means from its kind. Or nawolo and thiga'u. Do not touch it. There's no thiga'u. It's interesting that she uses the word thiga'u. That's what she said. Question, did the creator ever say thiga'u? Did he ever say you couldn't touch it? That's the question. That's the question I'm asking. Did he ever say that? No. Lo, he did not say it. He did not say this. He did not ever mention this. So it goes and brings us to the fact of Yah trying to show us again that the counselor, the noble woman, okay, the advisor, has now changed what the creator said. In the book of THEREIN, we're told, okay, go there right quick, because Yah wants us to understand his words. In the book of THEREIN, which is the words of the Elohim, Yahweh says this. It's always about what he said. He doesn't care about anyone else. If I told you something, that's what I said. Don't change what I said. Now, Israel, listen to the laws and the rulings I'm teaching you in order to follow them. That's why I'm teaching it to you, in order to follow them. That's the only reason why we should learn anything, is to follow what he says. So you can what? You can live. Oh, push the wrong button. So you can what? You will live. If you what? If you listen. You will go in and take possession of the land that Yahweh Elohim of your fathers is giving you. In order to obey the mitzvah, the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I am giving you today, do not add to what I'm saying and do not subtract from it. This is the reason why humanity has fallen, is because they don't listen to what the Creator said. That's the reason. Every time you don't listen, okay? Every time we fail to listen, you're putting yourselves in the place of going to be put to death. And here's an example, verse number 3. You saw with your own eyes what Yahweh did to Baal Peor, that Yahweh destroyed from among you all the men who followed. So obviously, this is the second time he uses the word follow. So us follow means to, in order to follow, but here you're following someone else because you're listening to this person. That's interesting. But you who stuck with Yahweh, meaning listen to him, are still alive today. Physical. Destroy means I'm going to destroy you from among men. Yah doesn't owe us anything. You understand that? He owes no man anything. His desire is to have us live. We don't want to live. We choose death. And we choose death. Yes, Kel.
Just wanted to add, does this mean that we were flawed if Adam and Eve were supposed to be the two first people and they should have had the Torah written in them, that she should have known? I don't know if she should have known, because he said that we wouldn't know right and wrong unless we ate from that fruit, but she decided to add to what he said. And I was just thinking, does that make us flawed because she decided to add to what he said?
Yes, because the only thing that Yah wanted them to know is what he said. That's the only thing that he wants them to know. Yah didn't want them to know how to, because to know something means to be intimate with it, right? Like you will with a woman or a man, or to with a job or a business, to be intimate, with your craft, the work that you do. So he's saying, I don't want you to know. I don't want you to be able to know what you think is good and what you think is evil, which is function and dysfunctional. Ra, evil doesn't mean, the guy with the red cape and the sharp teeth and the Halloween costume. Evil from Yahweh's perspective means that which is bad and dysfunctional. I don't want you to know that which is dysfunctional, and I don't want you to come up with your own opinion about what you think is good. I only want you to do what I said, because I'm the one who knows what's good. And I'm your master, and I'm the one who loves you, and I'm directing you and leading you so you can live the best life possible. That's what I'm doing. So to say that they were flawed, their flaw came in the fact that they wanted to be what they call Kelohim. They wanted to be like Elohim, which we're going to get into. The idea of them, they wanted to be like Elohim, meaning they wanted to be able to make their own decisions. They want to be able to decide for themselves what's good and what's bad. They wanted a stake in the game. They wanted to be ruler. They want to rule with their own rulership, which you would call pride and arrogance. All the nations come out of Adam and Chua. You understand? So the nations are from these people, these two individuals. All humanity is from them. All humanity is from these two individuals. All the nations, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, all the ones before them, Cain, Havel, Seth, all of them. Okay. So all of the nations are consistent of humanity, which these are the representatives of humanity. So Yah is showing us that humanity has decided they wanted to fall. They want to make their own decisions. They don't want him to be their ruler, right? And as a result of that, out of all humanity, Yah has chosen one family. And it makes everyone angry. He chose one man out of all humanity to have a relationship with, okay? Right? So going into which chapter number 6 talks about Noah. He chose that man, and out of that family came Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And out of that family came Shem. And out of that family came all the way down to Abraham. And out of that family came Yitzhak and Esau and Jacob. But out of that family came Yaakov. And out of that family came the 12 tribes of Israel. And out of that family came all the different tribes all over the world. See? And out of that family came David's family and the Levi out of Aharon's family. So Yah chooses individuals out of families. You understand? So when we talk about humanity, because that's what we're talking about, that we can understand that the role of Israel is to bring humanity back to Yah. He tells us the end from the beginning. He's letting Israel know what the mission is. The mission is to turn people back to Yah by keeping the commandments. Our reason why he mentions this story and tells us what it is, because he wants us to know, how did man come to being destroyed? How did this happen? It's because they did not listen to what the commandment was. As a heavy cost. Now, did Adam and Korah, they were going to die anyway, but they could have lived longer lives, and they had an option that they decided not to choose. They could have easily ate from the tree of life and lived forever. Easy. But they didn't choose that. They chose the other path. And you might ask yourself the question, did Yah know that? Yes, he did know that. So what does he do in reference to how to reverse this? Because ever since they've done what they've done, it's broken the relationship between Yah and humanity. So Yah chose a family to help bring humanity back to Yah. He didn't choose one man to hang him on a cross and kill the innocent for the wicked and justify the wicked by the death of the innocent. He's never done that. He's chosen a group of people out of a family to give them his laws, his rules, and instructions to train us, to bring us to a point where people then, if they desire to be with God, they would have the choice to seek him and to do what he says. And we would be the example of that. We would be able to be reinstated, okay, to a place of honor and respect and dignity. Because if you think about it as a helper, now hear me, an Azer, Nekeva is a picture of Israel, because she's the Nekeva. Yah looks at Israel as his woman, his wife. He looks at her as the one who's supposed to help him. He wants our help. Listen to me. He doesn't need our help. He wants our help. And what does he mean by that is, I want you to serve me and show the people how to live. I want you to bring people to me and show them, this is what you're supposed to eat. This is how marriage is supposed to be. This is how you're supposed to raise your children. I want a relationship with humanity, but it's not going to be on their terms. Are you going to die? Yes, you're going to die, because you chose that. You chose that. When I bring you back to the land, are you going to die? Yes, you're going to die. But when are you going to die? Anyone who dies less than 100 years old is going to be thought to be cursed. Anybody that lives less than, going to live for my days of my people are going to be like the days of a tree. You're going to have the right kind of food. You're going to teach the nations how to farm. You're going to teach them that it's not about war. It's not about all that. It's about community. It's not about individualistic mindsets. It's about why you were created. Man was created to work and to build and to grow and to harvest and to reap and to sow and to love and to multiply. That's why we were created. All the other things around us are just the outliers, and they're the things that give what we would call distractions. These are all distractions. We haven't lived the way that Yah wanted us to live. Not one day have we lived with the intent that Yah wanted us to live. This is why Christianity is so attractive, because people believe that they can get it out from this. They claim that man is cursed. Man is not cursed. Yah never cursed man. Yah cursed the ground. And that curse was broken off the ground when Noah ended up the flood. It ended. That ended. The curse on that ended. The punishment, okay, Man's not cursed because he has to work. He was always going to work. The ground is cursed, so he had to work harder to get what he needed out of it. The woman's not cursed because she has a child. She's not cursed. That's a blessing. Her discomfort is a reminder of when you left rulership. Her job was to be a ruler and to turn man's head in the right direction. So Nekevas, women, you really should understand that when Yah turned around and he said, well, because you've done this, I'm going to make him a ruler over you, doesn't mean that that's what the intent was. It's a cost. It's a cost for what you've done as a species, as a part of our species. That's a cost, but you're not the only one affected by us being rulers over you. We never asked to be a ruler over you. That was not Yahweh's intention. It's a consequence of actions. I don't never want to be a ruler over my wife. That's where that conflict comes from, because she doesn't supposed to. I don't supposed to rule her according to what Yah has designed you to be. She's supposed to be a ruler. She's supposed to be the counselor to me, not the person I argue and fight with because you won't do what I say. So what Yah has turned around and said, okay, well, guess what? Nekeva, Isha, you decided to spin humanity in this way. All humanity is going to suffer because of your actions. All humanity is going to suffer, Adam, the masculinity energy of you, because you failed to do what I said and you listened to that side of you, right? And you put that side of you over me. I want you guys to know that no matter what happens, I don't care if your wife tells you something. I don't care what your husband tells you. You have to listen to what I said so you can be reinstated. When we come into the Torah, listen to this. You never see in the Torah where the woman is being told that she can't rule. Never. In the New Testament, they tell you to shut your mouth and don't you ask any questions until you get it home and ask your husband. In the New Testament, it told you that you're under his authority because they want to keep you in bondage so they can keep it going. They want to divide the male and the female from one another because that divides the image of Yah. They want to do a hierarchy where the man is at top and then the woman, there's Christ, the man, the woman, and then the children. That's not Yah's intention. Yah says, the glory of me is both the man and the woman. I'm asking you, sisters, to rise up, elevate, and start thinking on this level. You're supposed to be the ruler. You didn't know that, did you? That's what I'm telling my daughters. That's why I'm hard on them, because my job is to turn around and rule them, to bring them back to a place to teach them how to rule. But if they don't accept the instructions from me, then they're going to do the same thing to their husbands. And there's always going to be conflict. There's always going to be arguments. And no one is going to elevate. Humanity as a whole is going to continue to suffer. So we have to get our act together. We have to start thinking. We have to come and say, listen, this is the situation that we're in right now. We need to come together and look. If you go down, I go down. That's the way we got to look. We go down together. I can't do good without my wife, and she can't be nothing without me. Do you understand? Everybody has to play their part. And I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Nekeva, you women, you're going to have to step up the game and you're going to have to elevate. Because without your elevation, because man needs your help. Teach your children. Demand respect. Demand doing things the right way. Demand duty and responsibility, and stop letting people get away with stuff because you feel like you're not in a rulership position. The nation is dependent upon you. Did you hear what I said? That's what the nation needs. They need rulership from the top all the way down. You are the ones who's supposed to take that child, and you're supposed to teach that child. This is what Yahweh says. When they had to go kill one of their kids who were disrespectful and disobedient, it wasn't the father that drug the son out. It mentions that the mother and the father took the son out. The foolish one who didn't want to listen to our voice. In Hebrew, the woman is not a second-class citizen. She is a ruler. She's a ruler and she's a teacher. I don't need to give you the example of talking about Deborah and how she was a judge in Israel. I don't need to tell you that. You already know that story. The story that you don't know is that the way that you started out is the way that you got to finish. Yes, pain, childbirth is a reminder of, well, we lost our rulership. But that's okay. That doesn't mean I still can't be a helper. Maybe if I help and do what I'm supposed to do, maybe I can have some, what they would call some shalom in my position now. I got to find my way back to rulership. I can find my way back to nobility. I can find my way back to being elevated. You can never be elevated in Christianity. They will keep you down. You understand? They will lock you down and keep you down, and you will never have any authority. Not in Torah. Not in Torah. In the Torah, you have authority. In Torah, you have the authority to do what is right. And you can, who's the one who provides the food for the house? You better hear what I'm saying to you today. Who's the one who's responsible for the maintaining of the diet of the family? Who is it? You got that right. It's Nekeva. Who's responsible for educating and teaching and feeding the babies? Oh, you got that right. It's Nekeva. Who's responsible for taking a house and turning it into a home with creativity? Oh, that's right. God gave it to Nekeva. Oh, you better hear what I'm saying to you. Who is supposed to have their eyes open to see when danger is coming against their husband? Oh, that's right. The Nekeva. Who is the one responsible who got angry and grabbed a man by his testicles and had the palm of her hand cut off because she was trying to defend her husband? Oh, that's right, Nekeva. Who is the one that Yah hold responsible if any man touched you that didn't supposed to? He would kill that man if you didn't scream out. Who? Nekeva. Who is the one that Yah gave a price for that said that you can't get this for free? You got to pay for it. Nekeva. Who did Yah call work for? Huh? For 7 years. Nekeva. You understand me? It has to do with Nekeva. This is what this is all about. And if you and I don't ever get this right, and we want to just run through the book of Genesis and say that this woman was the worst person in the world, you'd be talking about yourself, humanity. She's humanity. She's not just by herself. She's one aspect of the species that is joined to the man. Bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. You're not alone. We're united. You're united. Get your house in order. Make demands of people. Hold them responsible. Have a sense of duty. If you knew how noble you were, then you would take measures. You would put some different steps and processes in place. You would have your house organized. You'd have your kids in line. This tape is not just talking to people on here on Zoom. I'm putting this on YouTube. This is for everybody to understand what this is about. Married, unmarried, don't matter. If you got to go seek somebody, you need to understand that you let them know as a woman, guess what? I am the nobility of humanity. Therefore, I demand respect. You're not going to treat me like no second-class citizen. I'm not under your thumb. I'm here to help you because that's my job. I'm an Azer, and I'm the only one in all creation that Yah gave to you, you dummy. Do you hear what I just told you? The only one that Yah ever named as a helper is a Nekeva. There's only two individuals that are mentioned in the Hebrew scripture as an Azer, and that is a woman, and that is Yahweh. You are sent from Yahweh to be a helper. To who? To humanity, to the community. But you have to be disciplined. It's a position of high esteem. It requires a great sense of honor. You have to be dignified. You have to show dignity. If you want to be esteemed, you have to do what Yah says. You are responsible for all the experiences in humanity. You know why men are lustful? Because of Nekeva. They won't cover their bodies up. They feel that they got to show their breast and they got to show their behind in order to get a man's attention. That is so disgraceful and is so debased because they don't see the value in themselves. Stop living in inferiority. You're not inferior. You women are not inferior. You're superior. When things need to get done, you know how to make it happen. Help the man. Help humanity. This beast in verse number 5 or verse number 4 says, and this is what the diviner told the woman, you're not going to die. Remember, he didn't ask a question, he made a statement, and then she went in and started talking. She got carried away in her thinking. All she needed to do was stick to the script of what Yahweh said, and everything would have been fine. But guess what? She wasn't there by herself. They were there together. And he didn't say, yes.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that what Christianity says, that we're not going to die?
Oh, yeah, you're not going to die. Oh, no, you're not going to die. All you got to do is believe, and you're not going to die. You say, well, shouldn't a man have said something? No, he didn't supposed to say anything. Listen to me. You know, we got the story. Oh, he didn't say anything. He just let it happen. Guess what? He didn't have to say anything. All he could have did was refuse to eat it. But guess what he thought? She's a helper. She's bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She ain't gonna do anything to hurt us. You know, why did he stand up and say something? That wasn't his role. Oh, you better hear what I just told you. That wasn't his role. That was not his role. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. He named Nakash. He was already familiar with Nakash. Adam named that beast. He named it. There's nothing for him to say. He named it. He gave it his character. But remember, he said, this is the woman that you have given me. Yeah, I didn't ask him, did you listen to her? He said, what did you do? Did you eat? Personal responsibility. Her job was to be a counselor, and he took that and he accepted that. So you're not going to die. Verse number 5, for knowing Elohim, not will know or she'll know, participle mean knowing. Elohim, that in the day that you eat, this is what the diviner is telling you, that of it, when you eat of it, then it's going to be open your eyes and you will be Kelohim. Oh my goodness. You're going to be like Kelohim. Okay. Kalo, like Elohim. How to be like, but aren't you like him? Didn't he make us in his image and his likeness? Oh, there's something that you don't know. So what he's using is what they don't know. See, to know something, see, what was interesting to them was unknown. And this is the problem. This is how they get us. The reason why they introduce the spiritual aspect of things is because that's the unknown. Because you and I don't know it. And so what happens is you and I want to know it. We want to know heaven. We want to know what the angels look like. We want to know how they live. We want to know where. See, so look, we want to know who, we want to know where, we know how, we want to know all these things. We're all inquisitive. So remember, to know something is to ask questions. So what this was going on is they wanted to know. And he's saying the problem is that he doesn't want you to know. See, it's about knowing. Yah doesn't want you to know, because as soon as you know, then you're good. There's certain things that Yah wants us to know, and there's certain things that he doesn't want us to know. I know that bothers us, okay? Right? Because I was bothered, because I want to know. And I think knowing would be good for me. Oh, if I knew, then I would be better off. That's not what Yah says. There's certain things that you're supposed to know and certain things you don't supposed to know. Go to Deuteronomy chapter number 29, verse number 29 says this. Things which are hidden belong to Yahweh our Elohim. Okay, which means the secret things, things that are hidden. Hidden things, they belong to Yah. But the things that have been revealed belong to us and our children forever, so that we can observe and do all the words of this Torah. Your only reason for knowing anything is to do this. That's it. To do the Torah. But we don't want that. You know what we want? I want to know about something called the New Testament. I want to know about the intertestamental books. You know, all the books that were written during the different times. I want to know about that. I want to know about the book of Jasher. I want to know about the book of Jubilees and the book of Baruch and all these other things. You know, I want it all. I want to know all the different secrets. You know, I want to know the Zohar, you know, like the Jews. And I want to know the hidden things. I want to know all the secret things. Well, let me ask you a question. Is this what Yah told us to do? Did he tell us to seek the secret things? No. Yeah, he's never told us to seek the secret things. You know what he said? I told you what I wanted you to know. Do this. I'm asking you to keep the words of the Torah. The Torah is no longer a priority for Israel, because we're always looking for other answers from other people. And that is the problem. We don't want to hear from what Yahweh says. Why not listen to what someone else says? Paul, Peter, James, and John. Let's listen to them. Let's listen to what they have to say and let them tell us the story. Let us tell us about a story about a man called JC or Yeshua. Let's find out what that's about. Because you know what? How are you going to die for your sins? How are you going to take care of your sins? Well, what do you know about sin? You don't know anything about sin, but yet you're talking about it. You see? That's the problem. They wanted to know more. That's what they wanted to know. They wanted to be like Yahweh, Kelohim, so that in the day that you eat, your eyes will be opened. They want their eyes to be open. He wants you to see. Because what you can't see right now is what's unknown. So we're going to show you. Okay? We're going to show you the unknown. And that is what you call a diviner or divination. Do you understand that? And a Nakash is a diviner. Nakash. It's a diviner. It's divination. What did Yah say about divination? This is the reason why this is here, because Yah's telling the family, the Nekeva and the Zakar, you guys are going to seek me. You can't seek me like everyone else. You just can't. Because diviners do certain things because they want to know the unknown, but you don't have to do that. I'll tell you everything I want to tell you, and I'm going to tell you the way I'm going to tell you. Here it is. When you enter the land that Yahweh Elohim is giving you in verse number 9, you are not to learn how to follow the abominable practices of those nations. So we're talking about abominations now. Okay? That's what we're talking about. Let me show you what an abomination is. It's a practice. Okay? There must not be found among you anyone who makes his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. You can't kill your child. Oh, look, a diviner. That's an abomination. A soothsayer. That's an abomination. Encounter or a sorcerer. A spellcaster, a consulter of ghosts called the Holy Ghost, or a spirit. I got the spirit of God. Or a necromancer, one who seeks answers from the dead. Someone who puts magic potions together, an astrologer, a tarot card reader. For whoever does these things is detestable to Yahweh. And because of these abominations, Elohim is driving them out ahead of you. So how does he want us to be? What does he want for Israel? Because humanity is doing these things, which they got it from who? Who did they get it from? Oh, that's right. They got it from Adam. They got it from humanity. They got it from the Nakash, because he's the first diviner that you ever hear about. And he tells us how to think, and we want to know something. We want to know more than the commandment. You must be wholehearted. You got to be wholehearted with Yahweh. You understand that? That means all of your mind. For these nations, what I told you, the Goyim, okay? The Goyim, these nations, the ones he's more specifically talking about that land, they're about that. They're about that. He says, which you're about to go dispossess, because I'm about to take that from them because of that behavior. I'm about to go take their land from them because of the things that they do. They like to have sex with their mothers. They like to burn their kids up. They like to do all these kind of things. But I'm going to go ahead and you're going to dispossess them. He says, because they listen to soothsayers and diviners. But you're not part of the Goyim. You're not part of the nations. Elohim does not allow you. You're not allowed to do this. Yahweh will raise up for you a prophet like me from among yourselves, from your own kinsmen. Okay, so a prophet, you'll be like Moshe, and you are to pay attention to him. Pay attention, mean give ear to him, just as when you were assembled at Korev and you requested, because that's the reason why Yah is using prophets, because you requested for Yah to talk to you, because you said, don't let me hear the voice of Yahweh my Elohim anymore, lest we die. We don't ever want to see this, or we'll die. You understand? Death is always part of being associated with anything, okay? Like I said, death is part of life. So they wanted to live a little bit longer. So they were like, hey, we don't want to see him anymore. We don't want to see this. So every answer that he gives to us, we wanted to come through a prophet. We don't want to be talking to him, talk to us no more, because this is it. Then Yah says they're right in what they're saying. They're absolutely correct. Why? Why are they right? Because he says they're going to die if they do see me. Oh, you better hear what he just said. They're right. What they just said is right, because if they do see me again, I'm going to kill them. Yeah. So instead of killing them, I'm going to raise up a prophet like you from among their family, their kinsmen. And I will put my words in his mouth, and he will tell them everything I ordered him. That's command. And whoever doesn't listen to my words, which he will speak in my name, will have to give an account for himself to me. And that's exactly what we're about to find out in Genesis. Because Yah is holding everyone responsible for what they hear from his mouth, whether we like it or not, because we are his species. We are the type. He made us for that purpose, to listen to him. That's why you were designed. And so he says that your eyes will be open and you'll be like Elohim. You'll be Kelohim, and you'll be knowing good and evil. You'll be able to make decisions on your own. You won't need Yahweh anymore. You won't need him anymore, because that's the thing is to get you away from him. So you don't have to be like, you could be like him. So if you're like him, that means you don't need him anymore. Okay. And so when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eyes, and desirable of the tree to make one wise, because she wanted to be even wiser than what she already was. She didn't believe that the wisdom that she had was good enough. She wants more. She took of the fruit and she ate it, and she gave it also to her husband, and he ate it. He was with her, okay? He was already with her. And their eyes were opened, the two of them, and they knew that they were naked together. And they sewed fig leaves and when they made themselves, okay? So now we have in the final part of this, which I will read in English, so it won't get your eyes confused. I'll read it in English, and this is what we'll close out with, okay? In English, and we're in chapter number 3. To tell you, I got a couple of minutes here. I'll share it with you. So we understand that now that they have done this, that has brought death upon them. Okay. It says this. When they ate it, in verse number 7, the eyes of both of them were open and they realized that they were naked. Okay. So they had knowledge now. Okay. And the knowledge is that nakedness is something that talks about their innocence. So what they did was, because Yah did not want them to know. He didn't want them to know that they were naked. The enemy wanted them to know that they were naked. That's the goal. Because nakedness for us now, because we didn't follow what Yah says, brings upon shame. So what he did when I talked about us being degraded and being lowered and esteemed, now we found ourselves to be naked, like everything else. Like every other animal. They don't wear clothes, they're all naked. So now we have been debased in our minds to know that we're naked too. So they felt shame about this, and so they sewed fig leaves together and they made for themselves clothes, loincloths. So they only covered the bottom half of their bodies, their genitalia, but not the breast and not the top. Okay, just only the bottom. And they heard the voice of Yahweh. Okay, so Yah used to speak with them. They heard his voice. Okay, and Yahweh was walking in the garden at the time of the evening breeze, and so the man and his wife, okay, they hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh among the trees in the garden. Okay, so now we see hiding, and it had to do with the nakedness. So there's shame. So Yahweh called to the man. He says, "Where are you?" And that is definitely in a question. So we know in Hebrew, he says, "Me, where are you?" And I should show that to you, even though I have it in Hebrew here, English. I should show you in the Hebrew so I can reiterate the fact or the point that I told you, that when we're talking about a question, Yah uses the words to him. Here it is. There it is. Ayeka. Right here. That's one of the words. And as you notice, it's called an interrogative. It's right here. Where are you? So they don't really need this. If you're in Hebrew, you don't need that. All you know is what this word means. Ayeka. Ayeka means, where are you? Okay. So he asked him a question. And did Yah know where he was? Yes, he did. But why is he asking him that? Why is he asking this man, where are you? Because now Yah is showing the difference between him and the Nakash. Nakash didn't ask any questions. The Nakash said a statement as a diviner. Yah likes us to know by knowing that he wants humanity to be responsible. That's the only reason why he asked him this question. He wanted him to, when Yah asked questions, because he's always asking Israel questions. What have I done to you to make you treat me this way? When did I ever do this to you? He's always asking questions. Or why have you done this? Right? And it's not because he doesn't know, it's because he's trying to get us to answer the question. He's trying to get us to acknowledge our fault. Okay. So it's like your child, you know what your child did, and you ask him, why'd you do that? You already know why they did it. You just want them to know it. See? So he says, and he answered, I heard your voice. In the garden, I was afraid, and because I was naked. Okay. And I hid myself. So we have fear now that's introduced. We have the nakedness of the shame, and I hid myself. He said, who told you that you were naked? So the nakedness, that was the whole goal, is to make that which is unknown known to them. And what he wanted to do is he wanted to shame them. That's what he wanted them to do. He wanted to shame the image of Yahweh. Oh boy, you better hear what I'm telling you, Nekeva and Zakar, those of you. The enemy's goal, the Nakash, is to come upon us and to bring shame to the glory and image of Elohim. And that's done by the way that we behave. And that's done by what we know. And that's done by what we desire to know, that the unknown. That's done by us going outside of what Yahweh says. Every time we would read something or call upon another name, we profane Yah's name, and therefore we profane his image, because we're literally going against who we really are. The breath of us belongs to the Holy One of Israel. The image of us belongs to the Holy One of Israel. So anything that he could do to shame us, he'll do it. That's why people are running around without their clothes on. That's to shame us. That's why people are beating each other up on TikTok, because that's to shame us. That's why there's so much violence in the land. When you see the homelessness, that's to shame the image of Yah. When you see the homosexuality, that's to shame the image of Yah, the glory of Yah. Lesbianism, the LGBT, whatever their name is to shame. Little kids going transgender, that's to shame the image of Yah. People being starving, hungry, to shame. That's to shame. To take away a man's dignity and his honor, that's the shame. To put a man out of his house and don't let him tell his kids what to do, that's to dishonor Yah. For a child to disrespect their parents, that's to disgrace the glory and the image of the Holy One. To eat that which is unclean is to disgrace and dishonor the image of the Holy One. To be a liar is to disgrace the image in the character and the attributes of the Holy One. The responsibility that you and I have is huge. It's huge. And because this has been given to us, and because we hold that image, Yah says, I'm going to hold you responsible for that image. I'm going to hold you responsible for what words come out your mouth. I'm going to hold you responsible for that which I told you. I'm going to hold you responsible. And we'll find that in chapter number 6, when Yah decides he's going to destroy the earth. I'm going to hold you responsible. You're profaning my name by the way that you live and the way that you think. The man replied, well, he asked the question, 11. He said, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree from which I ordered you not to eat? Because Yah knew it. And the man replied, the woman, the Isha, that you gave to be with me, she gave me the fruit from the tree, and I ate. No punishment yet. Okay, so now let's get to the punishments. All right, let's get to the judgment. Yahweh Elohim said to the woman, because he didn't address, so he's still addressing humanity, not just the woman, he's addressing the nekeva of humanity. He's saying, what is this that you have done? Does he not know? So he asks another question. So the first question is, oh boy, you better hear what he's about to tell us. Oh, show. What does he say? He says, first question is, where are you? Second question is, who told you that you were naked? Third question is, what is this that you have done? Okay, those are all questions. So what he's doing is he's letting them know, he already knows, because he already told him you ate a tree of garden. You had to. It's not that Yah didn't know that. He's saying this because he wants them to know he's really hitting hard. This is a hard rebuke. It's hard to answer questions that you already know the answer to. He just wants them to say something. Okay. So now the man replied, the woman you gave me to be with me, she gave me the fruit. Yahweh said to the woman, what is this that you have done? And the woman answered, she replied, right? She gave a response. Because when Yah speaks, everyone's going to answer. The serpent tricked me. He deceived me. And so I ate. Right? But she didn't say that. She didn't tell that she gave it to her husband, did she? Because they were both standing there. He said, I ate. He's addressing her. And Yahweh Elohim said to the prophet, he didn't give him a question. He gave him a statement. Because you have done this, you are cursed more than all livestock and wild animals. So it's not the devil. It's a beast. You will crawl on your belly and eat dust as long as you live. And I will put animosity between you and the woman and between your descendant and her descendant. Now, they say that this is, Christ, him and the devil and all this kind of stuff. Well, the snake didn't birth the devil, and neither did, according to us, that the woman, they said that the seed of the woman has to be the seed that, God planted in the woman and hovered over with the Holy Spirit. No. Everything that came out of this woman, okay, was her descendant, because she's the one who carried it. Okay. Her descendant is the one that she brings forth out of her body, that the man gives it the seed. He will bruise your head and and you will bruise his heel. Okay. Right. I would put animosity, meaning that the relationship between you and this serpent now has changed. Okay. He's going to bruise your head and you will bruise his heel. Okay. Who's going to bruise his head? Oh, the descendant. The descendant of the woman is going to bruise the head of the serpent. Every child that comes out of the womb of a woman automatically understand that a snake is somebody who can't be trusted. They come upon you in a very slick way. So he's letting us know how the diviners come too. They're very subtle. They don't ask any questions. They wait for you to start talking, but they'll make a statement. They'll use something that you already know, and then they'll repeat it. And then you'll say something. That's how it's done. And so this idea of this seed is just any descendant. It's not some religious thing, because remember, this is not written for the Goyim. This is not written. This is part of the instructions that were given to the children of Israel through Moshe. This was written for Israel. This is not written for anybody else. But what they've done is taken our story and converted it and made it into a religion. And this is the basis of their religion, to say that man has sinned and he's cursed.